Have you ever wondered who is the most influential person in the history of mankind? Is it Albert Einstein, the legendary scientist who changed our understanding of the universe? Is it Jesus Christ, the divine messenger who preached love and compassion? Mahatma Gandhi, the leader of India's independence movement? Or perhaps it is Sir Isaac Newton, the brilliant mathematician and physicist who laid the foundations of classical mechanics? Well, in 1978, a Christian-American scientist named Michael Hart shocked the world by placing a man at the very top of his list, a man whom he considered the most influential person in history, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in his international bestseller, The 100. A ranking of the most influential persons in history, Michael Hart, who was an ordained minister and a graduate of the prestigious Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, placed Prophet Muhammad at number 1. But what makes this ranking so remarkable is that Michael Hart was not a Muslim. In fact, he was a non-Muslim. He was raised in a Christian family, and he wrote the book from a very unique perspective. What exactly was that perspective? Well, let me quote from his book. He was the only man who was supremely successful on both the religious and secular levels. Simply put, no one has had a greater impact on the course of human history than Muhammad. When I read these words, my first reaction was, yes. But how can a non-Muslim author give such a high ranking to Prophet Muhammad? How could he place him above Jesus Christ or other great religious figures? After all, Michael Hart was a Christian, an ordained minister who believed in the divinity of Jesus Christ. But as I delved deeper into his work, I discovered that Michael Hart wasn't just a religious man. He was also a historian, a scholar who based his arguments on facts and evidence rather than blind faith. So let's take a closer look at what made Michael Hart rank Prophet Muhammad so highly. It all started when Muhammad was just 40 years old. At that time, he was just a simple man from Mecca who had a vision that would change the course of history. In this vision, the archangel Jibril appeared before him and commanded him to recite. When Muhammad asked, "I am not a poet," Jibril squeezed him 3 times until he could recite, and thus began the journey of Prophet Muhammad as a messenger of God. Over the next 23 years, he would transform the course of history by preaching a message of peace, equality, and justice. But it wasn't easy. In fact, it was quite the opposite. Muhammad faced persecution, torture, and even war as he spread his message. But he never wavered. And eventually, his efforts paid off. His followers, known as Muslims, went on to conquer vast empires, establishing one of the largest and most influential religions in the world. And it's this transformation, this ability to go from humble beginnings to achieve greatness, that so impressed Michael Hart. As he wrote in his book, Muhammad was the most successful man in history on the secular level. His impact on the course of history is greater than any other individual. But that's not all. Muhammad's influence extended far beyond religion. He was a leader, a statesman, and a military strategist who led his followers to victory against all odds. He established a new society based on the principles of justice, equality, and compassion. And he did all of this without any formal education. When I learned about these accomplishments, I couldn't help but be amazed. Here was a man who came from nothing and achieved everything. He was a prophet, a leader, a conqueror, and a humanitarian. And he did it all while facing constant opposition and persecution. This is why Michael Hart ranked Prophet Muhammad so highly. He was a man who achieved greatness on both the religious and secular levels. And in doing so, he changed the course of human history forever. So the next time you think about the most influential people in history, remember to include the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the man who was ranked no. 1 by a Christian scientist because he knew that without Muhammad, our world would be a very different place today. Like and share if you like this content. Please don't forget to subscribe.